by Mick Foley. Dedicated for Mickey, who once told Santa that he had enough stuff, and for Huey, who puts the gift into regifting. The new kid moved to Rascal Lane in the 3rd week of December. He may have said a word or two, no one could quite remember. He struck the other kids as strange, with solemn eyes and slick back hair, but as long as he stayed quiet, no one really seemed to care. With the exception of one student who really cared. If the new kid would have known of this, he would have been quite scared. You see, the new kid was a new kid, and he could not prepare for the wrath of that one student, the anger, the despair. With just 1 hour until school let out on the last day of the week, Miss Guerrero said, "Excuse me," before continuing to speak. She said, "I have a small assignment on this last day before vacation. Please write your list for Santa Claus without further hesitation." The notebooks, they flew open. The pens and pencils, they moved freely. Happy kids gave words to dreams until a chilling voice said, "Really? Really? Really?
Really?
Really?" The chilling voice belonged to the Miz, the kid who ruled the school. The toughest of the tough, he was the coolest of the cool. The Miz strutted down each row of chairs, acting like a star. His tongue worked like a dagger, leaving tiny mental scars. He tore Kelly's list to shreds and called Seamus a big fool. He threatened Kofi Kingston with a wedgie after school. But the Miz had saved his worst for last. He had the new kid in his sights. He grabbed the paper from the boy and said, "What did the new kid write?" But nothing had been written down. The entire page was white. The Miz squinted and looked again. Was there a problem with his sight? He blinked his eyes a couple of times to confirm his vision was just fine. How would Santa know what toys to bring if all he saw were empty lines? He said, "Tell me why your page is blank before I get real rough." The new kid said, "The page is blank because I have enough. So I'm not asking Santa Claus to bring me any stuff." "Enough!" the Miz yelled aloud. "Enough! Enough! Enough!" The Miz approached the new kid, then he called his bluff. He said, "Listen closely, new kid, you can never have enough. So put that pencil on your page and ask Santa for some stuff." The new kid slowly shook his head and said, "No, I have enough." The other kids were stunned at first. They were not used to this. Several years they'd wondered how Miz stayed on Santa's good boy list. Wade and Natalia dared not laugh and hid their happy feeling. But Kofi Kingston jumped for joy. His head nearly touched the ceiling. The Miz's star was fading fast, so he thought up a lie real quick. He said, "The new kid isn't writing because he doesn't like Saint Nick." The new kid didn't even blink through the Miz was in his face. He just did this thing where he rolled his wrists and then he calmly made his case. "I'm a big fan of the men in red," he said. "I know Santa's job is tough. Many children need those toys, but as for me, I've got enough. When I need a toy, I'll ask for one, but an unneeded toy is junk. And you can cut out all this new kid stuff. My name is C.M. Punk. The Miz felt his whole world crumbling when the children broke into applause. Why had the new kid done this without the slightest cause? Miz was only being helpful, pointing out other people's flaws. He knew only one thing that could bring him back: a talk with Santa Claus. He dared not send his massive list. The cost of shipping would be sick. So he rode his bike to McManville Mall for a meeting with St. Nick. He forced and pushed his way up front. Boy, did he insist. It was an urgent, pressing matter. Santa had to see this list. He unrolled it like a sacred scroll and said, "I want all of this ideally." Santa stroked his beard a bit and said, "Oh, and really? 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 Each year I try to warn you, but my warnings are dismissed. Then each year I end up giving in and put you on the good boy list. But this year I've hired a helper, an official good kid, bad kid elf. He's here, I'll introduce him, so you can talk to him yourself." Miz thought this would be easy. He had no doubt or fear. But the moment that he saw this elf, Miz felt all his courage disappear. This elf was huge and shredded, just like heroes from the comics. He was a graduate of Hard Knocks U with a degree in thugonomics. "You're loud and rude with a bad attitude," said the elf. "Yet you act like you're a star. But according to the man in red, that's just not the way things are. I've checked the list and I insist you're not on it anymore. Now I think it's seeing elf time, where I show you to the door." And the elf showed Miz the door. The Miz rode home with angry thoughts, both hands clenched into fists. "I've got to find a way," he thought, "to get on that good boys list." Then the Miz got an idea.